Hello, everyone. What are you interested in? What do you want to learn more about or get really good at? What unique desire keeps calling you? Let's talk about it. Are you tired of just getting through the day, especially when you know you were meant for more? I was too. So I started a journey to bring more joy to my life and create a life that I actually loved every single day. Join us as we'll take this journey together, celebrating our failures, being inspired by our successes, and laughing with each other along the way. We want everyone to be able to look at their lives and say, I created a life I love. Hello, everyone, and welcome to I Created a Life I Love. I am Christine Spindler Denton, and we have a very special guest with us today, a close friend of mine, and I'm so excited that she was willing to come on our podcast with us today. So please welcome Miss Stephanie Quick.
Hi, everyone.
We are so happy to have her here. We are on our month of creativity. This is our second episode about creativity and why it's important in your life and how to bring it into your life, even if you don't think you're creative. And last week, we talked a lot about that and how you can be creative in all aspects of your life and in sports and in your job and we're not all artists, all right, and that's not what it's about. And so we talked a lot about creativity and how we can really use it to bring joy into our life last week. So we're going to go further on that today and talk about how you can bring creativity, into your hobbies, right? And your interests, and what part of that comes into your life and brings you joy. So, we're going to get to that. But first, let's start, as always, with what's up. So, Stephanie, what's up in your life?
So, I am a teacher, and we're now. I teach an AP class, so my test is next week or this coming week on Thursday. So we've been prepping for that, and there's a bunch of end of the school year activities happening. So we're getting ready for all of those things and prepping for that. So it's been all things work, I guess you could say.
I get it. Okay, so to introduce Stephanie, and yes, she is an educator as well. So you get all of us. We have Jeanette, myself, and Stephanie, all educators. And Stephanie and I have been friends since our kids were in kindergarten, and they are now all graduated or in college, right? Or graduating from college and in that phase. So that's how long we've known each other, and we have been through it, through all aspects of that. So we're going to talk about some of that today and many adventures. And let's see, if I talk about my what's up for me this week is I went back to work. So that was interesting. I definitely am not feeling 100% yet, but it was good to get back to work, to see friends and colleagues. I'm actually in the midst of leaving one job, still within the same organization, but leaving one position and moving into another. So it was kind of a bittersweet week for me going back and seeing everyone, but then knowing I'm kind of leaving them. So it was really fun, but it was hard at the same time. I also did find out from my doctor this week that everything is good, but that I will definitely still have to have another procedure probably in July or August. So I kind of, and it's a little bit more than I thought it was going to be. So that was, plus and minuses, right? No complaints. And definitely not as intense as the three surgeries I've had, but still, like, I don't know, you kind of get to the place where you want to be done.
Yeah.
Right. And not that it's ever going to be really done for me, but once you've had cancer, it's kind of something that's always going to be there. But I, yeah, found out that information this week. So I kind of had to process that and embrace it and see how I could use it and see the positive aspects of it and just be grateful for how far I've come and where I'm at now. So all of the things we've talked about on this show, and I'm living it as well, and definitely had to process and feel all those emotions, and then figure out how I could, use my strength and use that situation to become better. And so that's what I'm working on this week. And I'm excited about the new position I'm going to go into. A little nervous, right? It's like the first day of school again, or like, first new job. Like you're always nervous and having to learn new things, but I'm excited for a new challenge and a new chapter in my life. Okay, so here's our quote for today. Develop a hobby. Let the winds of enthusiasm sweep through you. Live today with gusto. Our quote for today is develop a hobby. Let the winds of enthusiasm sweep through you. Live today with gusto. And that is by Dale Carnegie. And I think that really kind of sums up everything we're talking about, right?
Yeah.
Living your life with passion and gusto, and being curious about everything, and creating a life that you really love. And one factor of that is having hobbies and interests that you love and that bring you joy. It's great if your job and your career can do that as well, but not everyone has that situation, right? Some people just have a job that's paying their bills and doing things, and it's fine, right? They might not hate it, but it's fine. And then in their off time, they're really doing all these fun, creative, wonderful, things they're passionate about on the
Mhm.
weekends. And so you don't have to change your entire life to start bringing more joy into your life. You've just got to really make sure that you're creating moments of joy for yourself every day and every week. And if it can be in your job, that's great. But if it can't, then do it on the off time. And I just really want to talk about why that's important. Right. So we're going to look at why hobbies are even important, right? Why does it even matter what you're doing on the weekends or in your off time away from work? And we have a great article called Positive Impact of Hobbies on Your Mental Health. It's from Oaks Integrated Care at oaksintcare.org. And there's a couple of reasons why do hobbies matter. So, first of all, hobbies allow us to unwind and de stress, right? Away from our work. If your work is really stressful and intense, having a hobby, being creative, and doing something else can really bring your stress down, which is extremely helpful, right, for your mental health and your overall well being. Secondly, hobbies can actually help you develop new skills, right, and create new pathways in your brain, learning something new. So, when you're being creative, when you're trying to learn a new skill, that's extremely helpful to your mental well being. And a third reason is hobbies can also really improve your creativity and problem solving. So when you're doing something that's completely away from your job, it can teach you and give you those moments of being creative. And what that can do is that can actually bleed back over to your job, right? It can give you a different way of looking at things. It can give you different perspectives. It can help you have more empathy toward other people. All of these skills are things that you can then use in your job or just in your personal life and help you grow. So those are some of the reasons to have a hobby. Stephanie, what's your thoughts on hobbies and interests?
One of the things I personally feel like I don't have a lot of hobbies. I There's things that I like to do, but I don't necessarily know if you would call it a hobby. And I've thought about hobbies in the sense that I'm not at retirement now, but I think about it where what am I going to do when I retire, even though that you can still, like you said, embrace your hobbies on the weekends.
Right.
But I feel like, as you said, like as an educator, I definitely spend most of my time thinking about my job, and then that parlays into my weekends too. And I do try to make time on the weekends to do fun things. But I don't necessarily know if anything that I'm doing is going to be classified as a hobby. Whereas when I talk to other people, they're like, that's definitely a hobby. So I don't know. You know what I mean? And so that's just that is my definite uh, um, take on it. But like I said, there's things that I like to do, but I don't know if it's like, if I would say is definitely a hobby.
What would be one of the things, like one example of something that you like to do?
Well, I like things that I like to do just to relax and unwind. I do like to read, so I definitely like to read. Um,
Yeah.
and then I also I like to go to concerts, so I definitely like to go um, to see live music. I am a little bit of a snob in the light that I do like live music, but and so if I'm somewhere where they're playing live music, I love that. But if I'm going to pay to go see something, it's always going to be country music for the most part, or even like some 80s artists or somebody that's on a bucket list item. One of the persons that I always wanted to see live that I had and that I heard was an amazing show, and then I did see this past October was Pink. But like I wouldn't mind seeing like No Doubt or Gwen Stefani. I would love to see her live. There's some people that I would like to see live, but most of the time my hunt is out for like a country music artist, and it could be someone that's currently popular, or it could be someone that's up and coming that I would like to hear live, right? So
Well,
yeah.
those are, I think those are definitely hobbies. And we're talking about doing things and skills and being creative. But I think hobbies are also, yeah, definitely reading. I think most educators are readers, right? And I'm a big reader too. I think that's definitely a hobby. And I think your passion for live music is really cool. I mean, we got to be in Nashville together, which I had never been, for your birthday. Um, unfortunately, I wasn't feeling my best. It was to have a story. It was literally what 3 weeks or 2.5 weeks before I was diagnosed with cancer. So I didn't know why I wasn't feeling great. So
Right.
that was a little thing, but it was amazing to be in Nashville. The place that Stephanie found. Oh my God, you guys, we were on what? Well, they don't call it the Strip. That's Vegas, or what do they call it? But Main Street, I guess, is what they
It
call
was
it.
it's called Lower Broadway was the name of the
Okay,
street. Their main
so
their main their main location for all of their live music venues, you would say.
yeah, and we were right there. So our Airbnb was literally you took an elevator up from the main strip with all of the bars right on there with all of the live music. We were right there, right in the midst of it. The Airbnb, and it was this huge loft and with all these different bedrooms. It was just great. And we took an elevator up over one of the bars. So we were able to look over and just look right down the street and see everybody walking around and going to it. We literally, took the elevator down, walked out, and we were right there in the midst of all of it. And I had never been to Nashville before. And talk about live music. I mean, you just walked into any bar and there were all these artists playing. So it was really fun. It was an amazing time of live music. But I think those are hobbies and interests. I definitely am trying to go to more live events as well. So I think live music is a great hobby. Live events, you get to interact with all the people there. I think that's a great hobby. I think for me on the opposite end, I have way too many. Like I am interested in learning a million skills. I'm the opposite end, which is so my personality of being like everywhere, right? I have 50 different things I want to learn. Like I want to start golfing more and learning that. You and I have done golf lessons together.
Yeah, you're way better at that than I am. That was like a disaster for me. I do admire about you the fact that you have all those interests though. Like I love that about you. I love that. I love that. I wish I found other things interesting because I don't. There's definitely certain things that I'm like, that's not for me. Like the scrapbooking. Like I know that there's things that other people do. And I love that about them, and I find that awful.
Yeah, I understand that. But I think I'm way on one extreme and you might be on the other. And hopefully, like a lot of other people, like might be in the middle, right? They have some interests or one or two interests or four. I have 50 million. You might have one or two. Like we're both kind of on the extremes. And I drag Stephanie into my, I don't know, escapades, I guess I would say, all the time. And she's the best sport ever. So she went and did the golf lessons with me, right? And I'm going to
Yeah.
continue. You know that there's now this new thing, golf thing out there where you can go and suck and they don't care. It's more about socializing. And so you get to go and you talk a lot and you have a beer as you go. You know what I mean? And they're not, I'm trying to remember what it's called, but it's this new group that I see is all over the nation that they're doing that. It's just you go, you get put in a foursome. You don't care how good you do. You don't care that, you know what I mean, that you're trying to be perfect, but it's all about the socialization, which I think is really cool. So, but I'm still too chicken to do that. I still have to. I want to go practice first at and take retake lessons. I feel like I keep going at it every 5 years, and then by the time I'm ready to do and have time to do it again, then I have to retake lessons again to try and get good enough to go. It can be intimidating, and that's one of the factors. I think a lot of people can be intimidated about trying something new, right? Because they're not good at it right away and they don't want to look stupid, which we talked a lot about on the show. Um, and not caring what other people think and not caring, especially for women. I think women are I think guys will go out there and be like, nah, fuck, it's good. Like, you know what I mean? They won't care. And I
Yeah.
think women much more, not that they care enough about what other people think. I think we're getting better at that, but I think they just don't want to look silly.
Your statement about men not caring and being able to move on past something quickly is definitely a factual statement compared to women. And that I think over time, as we age, we care less and less, and we're more likely to put ourselves out there. So I was saying that maybe by the time, 30 years from now, when I'm 80 years old, I will care zero, and I'll be. But am I going to be in the shape to do some of these things that I was hesitant, 40 years ago to do?
Yes, yes, I say yes. We're definitely living into our 80s and 90s. I just saw a great post about Gen Xers, and it's saying something along the line of like that we we are as old as we're going to get. Like, this is it. Like, we're showing how we're going to age, and we're not aging like the boomers or the generations before us. And this is it. Our sarcasm, our not caring, our our general, just we're doing it our way and we don't give a shit what you have to say about it. That's it. Like, it's not going to change. We're not going to get older and stop doing and being how we are. And so I just thought it was great because I'm like, it's true. Like, I think we're a special generation, and I think that we are definitely aging and doing it very differently than any generation before us.
Well, that's comforting. That's comforting.
Yeah, I think so. I think so. Well, and we're going to talk about too. I think one of the fun things that happen when you have kids, and Stephanie and I, our kids like are now older, right? But when our kids were younger, they pull you into interest and hobby that you don't think you would ever have. So that's something we want to talk about too, because a lot of the most hysterical moments we've had in our lives and ridiculous situations we got ourselves into were due to the interests and hobbies of our children, right? So we both threw our kids into activities and sports and gave them the opportunities to figure out what they liked, what they were interested in. And my youngest, and Stephanie has one daughter, and Jordan, and then my youngest Zoe are the same age, and they were in kindergarten together. And then we hooked up and started doing all of their activities together when we saw that they had a lot of the same interests. So that's a really fun time as well, which is a way to embrace things and bring your creativity, because we did that completely. So our girls were they on soccer teams together too before softball, or no?
No,
They
just
we they so we've got
softball and then
together
Girl Scouts.
softball and Girl Scouts. Okay, so we got together when our girls started doing softball, and my oldest had played softball, so I was on round two with my second, and so I started coaching, and I was a little more, I think, nervous to coach my oldest. And I think it was really intimidated, right? With most of the coaches being men and it being my oldest child and not knowing kind of how the leagues worked. And I had played the sport, but I think it's different when you're coaching and you're being responsible for other kids. and I wasn't an educator yet, so I was hesitant. And so by the time I got to my second, and she was interested in playing sports, and so by that time I met Stephanie, and we decided we would do this together. Thank God she said yes with me. And so then we started coaching together, right? And we took these girls, and if you've ever tried to, it's the same. I've seen videos of, little boys in baseball and running the wrong way and not knowing what to do with the ball, right? They can't really throw or catch yet. I mean, you're giving them hard balls, like, even though, like, understand, a softball still very hard. You're
Right.
giving them a ball, you're giving them bats,
Right.
and and you're and you have to make sure they're safe, and that that chaos is happening at all times.
Well, I feel like softball, baseball, those are hard. That's a lot of skills for a kid to learn, and they're 5 years old. Five. They not only do they have to learn how to throw, hit, catch, then all the rules. That's a lot. It's a
Yeah.
lot for them. It's a lot for the adult trying to teach all that to them, right? Yeah.
Yeah, so I was usually out on the field. So Stephanie and I, with this being the interests of our kids, said, okay, let's do this. Let's embrace this. Let's jump in. Let's bring our creativity, our unique style to this. And we did. And we were very different, I think, than the other coaches. We were silly with the girls, right? We had fun with the girls. We laughed with the girls. We tried to keep it, pretty light. And so it's, combining all your skills, right? And trying to make sure that everyone is safe and having fun. And then you have all the parents with their expectations with the kids.
Right.
So that's a fun part too. But we brought our own style to it and had a blast with it. But it was chaos. It was
Yeah.
chaos. And
Yeah.
I know you had some moments in the dugout. Like, I was usually on the field, and
Yeah.
then Stephanie was in the dugout, which it's like herding cats, trying to get them to, you had to make sure they had their glove. You had to make sure they would find a helmet or that swing a
Yes.
bat and not hit anybody else.
There, the dugout is no joke. It is really no joke when they're that little, and I felt like I saw no games. That all I was doing was making sure everybody knew where they're supposed to be or where they're going to be once we take the field and have their visors, their gloves. Oh, so many things.
I forgot about the visors. Literally, I know of how many different times when I would come off the field, because I was on the field with them, like either doing the pitching machine, right, because they couldn't pitch yet, or coaching a base and helping them just run in the correct order, or helping them swing the bat and not drop or throw the bat, or trying to field and throw a ball. So I usually was on the field, and Stephanie was handling the dugout. And I would come at the end of the game and say, wow, that was really good. Like, did you see blah, blah, blah? And the look Stephanie would give me would be like, I saw none of it. I saw none of it. And would you like to know why? Because Susan is over here running out of the dugout to the left and going around. And then Jane is over here like throwing her glove, and she can't just find her glove to get back on the field. Like, there was a whole nother world happening
Yeah,
in the dugout.
it's definitely a whole nother level.
We were in two completely different worlds.
Yes, definitely for sure. It was def- fun. It was fun. I can't deny that. It was fun. Were definitely some times that I want to pull my hair out, but you know, it does. Our kids definitely have some wonderful memories from it. Ours are a little different.
Yeah. Our take on the events versus theirs is
There's,
very.
yeah,
And then, as a separate little interest, we went into Girl Scouts, and then did that, and that was a blast. We took them on so many different field trips and got to learn so many new things. That was a whole different skill set that we learned, and that was fun. So yeah, I think the Girl Scouts was just, again, following the girls' interests, and that was a fun thing. So we joined that and became co-leaders, whatever it's called, right, of
yeah,
the Girl Scouts, and took them on so many different trips. We learned a ton. That was a completely new skill set that we were learning. How to lead the girls, all the field trips we went on. all the lessons learned. That was a lot of fun too.
Yeah, we definitely went to we did some fun things with them on that without them we would have gone to, right? Like, um,
Exactly.
right, we did a tour of the airport, we did small airport, and we did remember King's Hawaiian, where they had to cake decorating, super fun. What else? We got a tour of Cold Stone Creamery. We had a lot of fun ones. Like, if you think about it, super fun, right? That, as an adult, why would you do that, right? So yeah, for sure.
Yeah, if you have kids, you can really, not use them, but like their interests and they're exploring and them figuring out what their interests are and their hobbies are, or what they're interested in, sports wise, reading, museums, like all of the trips that we took, like you're saying. I forgot that we went to King's Hawaiian. We went back in the back of this restaurant and they were allowed to like make their own cake. Was that it, right? Make
Yeah,
their own.
they were allowed to decorate their own cakes. Yeah, super
Yeah,
cool.
and then we went to an airport. Yeah, you're right, and got to walk around and see all the things at the airport, the behind the scenes. It's definitely a way that you can, with your kids, with your grandkids, explore new things, try new skills, figure out new hobbies and interests that you might have from taking them to all these different places and museums and excursions and field trips, right? You don't need to have them just do these things like in a classroom. We did it with Girl Scouts, but you can do it just on your own, right? Or even with just a couple other parents or grandparents or whatever, and take your kids somewhere, get a back, behind the scenes look. There's a lot of places that are definitely open to do that. So, um, use your kids, use your grandkids to find, when they're figuring out what their hobbies are, young and growing, you can see what those hobbies or interests and how you might be interested in them.
I agree with what you said in the sense that it opens your eyes to all the possibilities out there of what you might be interested in just by going along for the ride. So I like the cake decorating thing for that. I think that I watch on like YouTube people making taking a store bought cake and decorating it beautifully. I think that that is fantastic that somebody has that skill set. I am just not very like artistic at all. Like, I can barely draw a straight line. I love to see the creations and even the process of it, but it's just not something that I feel that I'm good at. And then there's some things that I also see from that standpoint that I'm like, oh, that takes a lot of patience, right? A lot of things that I feel like with on the creative aspect does take a lot of patience. And I said that um, I feel like on my end, my patience jar is empty by the end of a work day. So I feel like maybe once, like when summer, I think I have a little bit more patience to try new things. But during the school year, it's a little harder for me. I feel like personally, and
Oh, that makes sense. That makes sense. Like things that, yeah, that take patience. It's hard to do when you've had a long day,
yeah,
right? So it might be easier to do on a weekend. I'm like that too. I think the things I have to do in the evening, when I after a day of work, are more, for me it's almost more physical things to get that release, like cuz we've been like, I have this pent up energy and I want to do something more physical. You know what's hysterical? One of the things I've been doing through my recovery, and I think I've mentioned it on here before, but like we have a Wii, we've played Wii games before with our kids, right? And I
right.
have a Wii. It's the most basic of video type games for anyone who doesn't know what a Wii is. Like I think most of the kids on there are like what, like 8 to 10 years old, right? It's very family friendly, young kids oriented, right? But we have the sports one. And so, what I was doing to kind of recover, to just get up and around as I was starting to heal, was I started to play the golf game on it and the tennis game on it. And so, like, as a little hobby, but it's been so much fun because I'm very, Stephanie knows, and anyone listening to this podcast know, I have admitted this many times before. I'm very, very, very competitive. And so playing like a little sports game against that thing, it's good because I can get out any frustrations of the day. Like that can be my little interest and hobby that I'm doing, but I'm getting some physical movement and exercise. I'm like smashing it and like, you know what I mean? Like trying to hit it hard and doing all that kind of stuff. So it lets me like kind of release all that energy, have that competitive moment. And, you know, all those little 8-year-olds, they have no idea that, they're playing against me. And I'm out there beating all the 8-year-olds in tennis.
That's a good. There you go.
And it's
Love.
my hobby. And it's because I'm like you. I think we are similar in that one aspect. And I'm not creative in an artistic sense. I think I'm very creative in other ways, like with businesses and with being able to see a bigger picture and how to solve a problem. I think I have a lot of creativity that way. I have a lot of creativity in how to look at something different. And I think the way that you and I did interact with our kids and raising our kids and them going through all these interests, I think we were very creative in the way that we did it differently than other people did it. We're both probably not creative in like the classic sense, right? The creative like drawing or things like that or with art or anything like that. But I think we were very creative and did things our own way with all of these things that we did. I mean, I remember being on the softball team and like our pitcher was really struggling, and I think she was, I think it was those, and she, or was it? I think it was one of the other little girls, and I think they were like 10 at that time or 11, and they were stressing out. We were in the middle of the game, and she was struggling, and like I went out and we like did a little dance on the mound. Like, you know what I mean? Like we got her to laugh and to be silly again. And then she ended up pitching the rest of the game and doing good. And like that's not how the guys were doing it, right? And I know there were things that you were doing in the dugout that we brought our own creativity to coaching teams with our girls or taking, the Girl Scout troop to different things that other people weren't doing. And that was our way of being creative.
Right. No, I would agree for sure. Definitely had our own take on it, on how we should proceed with a lot of things.
Yeah. And we laughed a lot. And it definitely brought joy, right? For sure.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Well, I would say so. Moving ahead, for everybody out there this week, it is so important to have just those hobbies or interests. And if you can do it and combine it with raising your kids, and you can gain more, interests as they explore what their interests are, I think that's fantastic. Or if you're on your own, like we are now, right? Our kids are grown. I think it's always good to try new things and to try and do, a new skill and challenge yourself. But I think it's also just good to just embrace who you are. And I think the more you take time to really get to know yourself and what makes you happy, and if you really listen to that, and follow that, I think you're going to be fine. But I think the problem is people just don't think it's important and then important enough in their lives to really have a hobby or have an interest. They're like, I'm too busy, I'm too, swamped with my life. And I just think it is important to do those trips because I know, like, so I think people really struggle with how to prioritize interests and hobbies in their life, right? And let themselves take that time and give them that release, that de-stressor, that way of bringing themselves joy. So how did you kind of like prioritize seeing like more live music in your life, or giving yourself the time to read? How did you prioritize that in your life?
I do have to. One of the things that you said resonated in the sense that you have to, prioritize, because I feel like, when you're working, you're just trying to get to Friday, right? And you're just trying to get through the week and then do whatever you're going to do on the weekend. Maybe it's all your errands and all that. I think you do need to make sure that you find things that make you happy and bring you some joy, and that because you don't realize it until you're doing it, how happy it makes you feel, right? And so I do believe that that is something to think about. I said with reading, I that's just one of the. I actually do read most evenings something, because I will read rather than watch TV. So usually I will pick up whatever book I'm reading and continue with that before I go to bed. So that's one of the ways that I relax and just take my mind somewhere else. Um, so that's a conscious effort, right? As for the live music, I didn't really realize that I how much I enjoyed it until actually I'd gone to concerts before, but so a coworker did invite me to a concert about 10 or 11 years ago that she had an extra ticket to. And so I hadn't been in that point to a concert since, it might have been 20 years before that. And it was like a one and done type of thing. Like it wasn't or something I was actively seeking out. So when we went to that one concert, and then after that, it was like, when's the next one we can go to? When's the next one we can go to? And then it was, and that's that year or the year after that. Oh, I think it was the year after that for first time. We call that our first date, me and that coworker. Um, we went to Stagecoach. So this Stagecoach that just happened, that will be my ninth one, nine in a row. Yeah. So I haven't. The only time I stopped going after that was during the pandemic, obviously those 2 years, but nine in a row. So yeah, and so I've been going ever since. And then during the pandemic, obviously couldn't go. But then um, when we came out of the pandemic, we had tickets for Stagecoach in 2020, and I said you could have got your money back from that, and we didn't. We just rolled them over, and so then we went in 2022, and then it was like, oh, we couldn't go to anywhere during that time. How many can we go to? Like, what can we go to? So it's like we went to, concert after concert. I felt like so like right now this year, I think 2024. So the concert, I had Stagecoach in April, end of April, right? And I have a concert in June, a concert in July, a concert in August, a concert in September right now.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
So
I like I said, I actively look to be able to go, and I think just it gives you something to look forward to, right? Like you have your one thing a month, maybe, right, that you can go to.
yeah,
Is it realistic to keep up? Not necessarily, because it gets expensive, right?
right.
But if you plan enough in advance, you might be able to get a cheap ticket. And then I do like up and coming artists where you can get super cheap tickets to small venues, which is super cool to go to. We're lucky we live in an area like, in LA County where there's a lot of places to actually go see somebody that is up and coming for relatively cheap versus living somewhere, where you would have to travel quite a distance to get to this same concert that is only half hour away from me versus somebody that is, it's a 2 hour drive, right? So we are blessed like that, right? To be able to do that. So
Yeah, I just signed up and put money down, which wasn't cheap, but to go to a show at in Santa Barbara. So I'm going to go up there and spend the night up there in August, and then see. I'm going to see a comedy act up there. I'm seeing Chelsea Handler. So it's not music, but I just wanted to go to more live events
yeah,
and to go to more venues that I haven't been to, and especially in California, they're all open. So you're out in the, sitting in the night, looking up at the stars, and they're not huge venues, but they're, a good size. And I love that idea. So I do think you have to prioritize, as we've been talking about the whole time on this show, is creating a life you love. Like you have to decide where you want your money to go in ways that will bring you joy, and be purposeful with where you're spending your time and your money for yourself, because it's not about being selfish. Because if you're joyful, if you're happy with your life, if you're having these events that give you energy and make you feel great, then you're only more loving and kind and joyful to everyone around you. And so it's not about being selfish, it's about creating your life and taking care of your needs, so that you can be an example to others to do it, but so you can also then give to others. Because you can't do that, like, if you're not, if you're not filled up yourself, like, as we know, right, as the whole oxygen mask thing they say on the planes, right, put your oxygen mask on first before your kids, etc. So we've heard this a million times, but I think it's really, really important for people to understand about their hobbies and interests, because those are the things, especially if your job isn't your passion and you're fine with it, it's just even that much more important to have those hobbies and interests where you can, really feel that joy and that creativity and that excitement in doing something.
I agree for sure.
All right, everybody. Well, so we hope this week that you will get out there and make some time, schedule the time this month, this week, however you want to do it, but to actually try something new, do your hobby, look at a new interest, get out there and do something fun that brings you joy. Any moment of joy for you this week, Stephanie? Do you have any moment of joy? And I know you said it was a tough work week.
I definitely can feel that the end of the year is upon us. So it's definitely I'm excited for that. You just can tell like there's just a different level of excitement. It seems so close. So and
That's
then yeah, my daughter will be walking in graduation in a couple weeks, so I'm excited for that too. So those are all good things.
Yeah, we can't believe our daughters are both graduating in June, so this is going to be crazy. My moment of joy this week was definitely seeing my friends back at work. And we had some great conversation, a lot of laughter, a lot of tears, knowing I was leaving that department. So it was bittersweet, as I said earlier, but that was definitely my moment of joy. And I'm so grateful for all the people I was able to work with for the last 3 years. So that was my moment of joy for sure. All right, everybody, the Monday Meditation Minute is out. So find that on our YouTube channel under shorts. Take those moments in your day to just stop and give yourself 1 minute to refocus and think about your intention for the day and think about a way you can bring yourself joy every single day. Remember, it's your life, it's your time, and try and take those little minute breaks here or there to bring yourself some joy. Um, can't thank you enough, Stephanie, for being here with us. Yay.
Thank you for having me.
All right. Well, hopefully, I'm Stephanie back again. All right, everybody, go out there and create a life you love. Bye.